let's talk about how we can solve using factoring. If I tell you that two numbers multiplied together, a times b is equal to 0, what do we know? Well, the only way to multiply two numbers together and get 0 is for one of those numbers to actually be 0. So either a is 0 or b is 0. One or both of those things is true, but one of those things has to be 0, or we wouldn't have multiplied them and ended up with an answer of 0. So I have given you a couple of things here that are pre-factored. You'll see x plus 4 times x plus 3, and I've said, well, that's equal to 0. Well, here's what we know then. Either x plus 4 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. And with some real quick solving, or maybe even just thinking about it in your head, you could say, well, then either x is negative 4, because negative 4 plus 4 is 0, or x is negative 3. Down here, either 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, or x minus 6 is equal to 0. A little bit of quick algebra here. Either x is 1/2, or x equals 6. Now, from a graphical standpoint, I just want to link this to the graph quickly. Knowing that these would both multiply out to be parabolas, let me just draw that shape, because both of them are x squareds. You know, they're both, if you multiply them out, they'd be parabolas. What these answers tell us are the x-intercepts. So if you made a graph, you say, well, negative 3 is a 0, and negative 4 is a 0, like that. That's what that would represent. And this other one, either negative 1/2, or 6. So if you thought about the graph of that, you'd say, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or negative 1/2. It looks something like that. Those are the x-intercepts. Now, this is, being given to pre-factored. But let's say we had to do the factoring. Let me show you what that would look like. So here are two examples where they aren't factored, but they're, like this first one, we have a trinomial, so we can use our rules to make factors. We're going to make it like this. So remember, we're looking for the two numbers that multiply to 4. So I'm just going to make that little list here, 2 times 2 and 1 times 4. And they also have to add up to 5. Well, only 1 and 4 do that. So my factors are x plus 1 and x plus 4. So either x plus 1 is 0, or x plus 4 is 0. So either x is negative 1, or x is negative 4. Now, before I do the second example, let me just remind you that this really only works because we're kind of exploiting the fact that if we multiply two numbers and get 0, one of those numbers had to be 0. So over here in the second example where I've got x squared plus 6x equals negative 9, I can't really use this. Okay, I can't do that. So what I would do is move everything so it is equal to 0. So I would add 9 to both sides and have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Basically just adding that over to the other side. Well, now, 1 times 9 and 3 times 3, well, the only one that also adds up to 6 is 3 times 3. So it's x plus 3 times x plus 3, or if you prefer to write x plus 3 squared. In this case, there is only one answer. It's negative 3. Now what that means from a graphical standpoint is that if I just went over to negative 3, put a little point, this parabola must have a vertex since there was only one 0. Let's do another example. Now this first one, x squared plus 5x equals 0, this isn't a trinomial, but it does have an x in both terms. And our factoring strategy when we see a common either number or variable is to factor that out. So I could factor an x out and have this. Well, now this one's just either x is 0 or x plus 5 is 0, well, then this one's done. It's either 0 or negative 5. Now, 2x squared plus 3 equals negative 7x. Once again, let's make this equal to 0. This strategy only works, and it works really well, but if everything is equal to 0. So I'm going to bring that over. I'm going to write this in standard form, meaning I'm going to have a plus 7x here, plus 3. And we have to factor this. This is a trinomial. So we're going to use our strategies from earlier factoring. 2x and x is the only way I'm going to get 2x squared there in the front, this part. And then we focus on the 3. The only way to get 3 is 1 and 3. So I'm going to place them this way. Kind of just check and make sure I got it right. 2x squared, 6x, and 1x is 7x. Yes, this is correct. So now either 2x plus 1 is 0, or x plus 3 is 0. Subtract 1. 2x equals negative 1. So x is negative 1/2. Or x is negative 3. So my strategy is always to move everything to one side so it's equal to 0. And then you have a lot of different factoring techniques we've learned that you might want to exploit in order to get it factored. But just remember, one of the two factors then must be equal to 0. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help.